moment somebody said it can't be built, I built. I design and build. And do it with my hands. And it works.
This is episode number 8 of the Archgyan podcast with Krishna Rao Jaisim. Hey guys, welcome to the Archgyan podcast, India's very own architecture podcast, all about architecture in India, architects and a lot more. Today we have with us Jaisim sir, who is a renowned architect from Bangalore and leads a firm called Jaisim Fountainhead. He is a recipient of various international and national awards, and he is also a member of various councils and associations all across the world. His projects have received wide accolades from world over, and he has been a big influencer for a lot of students and architects in India. On today's episode, Jaisim sir shares his journey in architecture from studying in School of Architecture Madras in the 60s, getting inspired by the book Fountainhead, meeting renowned architects of the time like Buckminster Fuller to Otto Koenigsberg, and a lot more. This is a 2-part series, and the second part will be released in a few days, where he shares great tips for young architects. Now, without further ado, we have with us Krishna Rao Jaisim. So guys, unfortunately, the starting few minutes of the episode was not recorded because of a technical glitch. Jaisim sir was asked about how he got into architecture and shares his journey right from the start. And for more about the episode, head to archgyan.com/08.
In those days, we call it the SSLC, the School of Architecture, the school, higher studies. Then my father asked me, what do you want to do? But then, as usual, like all my brothers and others, we write what is called the National Defense Academy exams.
Right.
My 2 elder brothers were brilliant, very hard work. He said, you also write. So I also wrote, not preparing or anything. They just wrote what I knew. To the surprise of anything, we got a call saying, he's been selected. Whereas the genius 2 things, they said some mark, that he has to report. And if you know the National Defense Academy in Kadakwas, it's one of the most prestigious defense academies in the world. And in the 60s, it was a very beautiful place. It still is a very beautiful. I met somebody just day before yesterday. When he heard I was in the academy, he was thrilled. So, what did you do? He was an air marshal. Like, he's probably here hanging around somewhere. Then, anyway, I went. I got selected. Went to Dehradun, then to things. I got selected. They said, you have to report. I went. I was given a room to myself, a boy to help me. What they call as the person who looks after you. He looks after you. Then morning you get up at 4:35, get into exercises, play cricket, play tennis, then go swim, go on the act, then have an auditorium thing, and they teach you how to eat, somebody polish your shoes, your dress, everything. It was top-class luxury.
Okay.
Absolute luxury. Beautiful food, beautiful 1,000 acres plus, hills, lakes. I mean, it's a dreamland. Then 1 week passed, a little more than a week passed. I don't know what got into me. Then I got into my squadron leader. I mean, we have a squadron of some sort of. I went to him and said, I don't know. I'm a little hesitant. He said, what is Jason? What is this? People are waiting to join this. It's a huge. You're lucky to have got into it. I said, I don't know. But somehow this word went to the commandant. At that time, Admiral Sampson, the chief of staff afterwards. He was the Admiral. He somehow heard about my request. So I got a small note saying, Admiral wants to meet you. Okay. That means punishment of fear. I started shivering. Everybody said, you got it. You had it. Because I was the only chap who got away without ragging and without I used to play cricket and all this. And you know how the defense ragging, it's nice, but it's principle.
Right.
That thing was with me. So I went to this at a particular time. I went, what do you call these people who person and his aide thing. I forget names. Aide. He was also, please wait. Admiral will come and meet you. The commandant will meet you. I said, not bad. And he said, please be seated. I said, seated in the chair in the lawn, like outside lawn. Then after some time, his wife came. You are the young cadet Jaisim? I said, yes, ma'am. would you like to have some tea or something? I said, being offered tea? It was even more. Nobody believed me when I told them like that. He offered me tea. No.
Right.
I said, no. He said, no, you must have. He will come and join you. Have it. Then only later I learned all that is part of checking you out. Okay. I didn't know at that time to see your discipline, your thing, how you drink the tea, how you take the biscuit, how you respond back, all that. I didn't know at that time. They said all that is a proper procedure. Okay. Then after some time he comes, you're the young man, come, sit down. And just saluted him and sat down full in uniform. I heard that you are not very happy. I said, yes, sir. What do you want to do? I don't know. I said, everything is here, but something. He said, tell me the reason. I said, can I tell you? He said, yes, that's why I'm calling you. I said, why this huge expenditure on a person like me? What are we fighting? This is India. We are a free country. There are no enemies. Okay. No China, nothing was there in those days. Right. Why waste this money? I feel we are wasting money. He gave me one hard look. He said, I think you are a little homesick, my dear boy. After about half an hour, he said, went a note to our command head and said, give him holidays. You go off on a small holiday and come back. Okay. Good. You'll be all right. You're homesick, I know. Later, next day morning, packed everything before the order would change. Everything, ran to the railway station, got a bus, landed up. My mother, by the time they'd called them and said, he might work, said, what are you doing? You're back. I said, I've taken a little short leave and come back. My father was saying, what do you mean? Then 1 week over, and he said, are you going back? I said, no way, I'm not going. By the time they got the call saying it's time that he reports back. Otherwise, he'll miss his schedule, so you can catch up with it. He said, what do you mean you won't go? I said, no, I can't. I would rather be a mechanic because I loved working with my hands and tools every time. That's the way I used to play, with my hands, with my mind, on the sand, on the thing. I was the last or the eighth on the third son. He looked at us, what do you want to do? My mother was also there, sitting there. What do you want to do? I said, anything, but I don't. They thought, okay, what do you do? Then my father called me for a phone. He said, you have two options. First, you have to do PUC, because you have finished school, so you have to do the pre-university. So he said, okay, call the Admiral, and he said, forget it, whatever it be, he doesn't want to come back. Then I did my pre-university at Jain College. Okay. Not this one. Not
in Bangalore?
No. In Madras. It's all in Madras. Beautiful college. I'll never forget. And I learned advanced English and history and literature, Shakespeare and all this. So while I was doing, he said, now what do you want to do? I'll pass. Then I just looked at him and looked at He said, what are the options you have? He said, you have two options. You can either do engineering, or my mother said, why can't you do architecture? Because her father was an architect. I didn't know very much at that time, but he was the Mysore palace architect. Oh, wow. Built some fabulous, but after that I realized what all he built. I said, when I walk into Mysore now, and they know, just allow me to walk through everything. So she was keen that one of her children should do, why can't you do architect? I didn't know. I thought my father was the tax commissioner for agriculture. So I thought it was agriculture. Okay. So, it was fun. Right. I said, what does it mean? Oh, it means very simple. My brother and sister, I think my sister, she will tell you a joke about it. He said, if you go to Manipal, you can do mechanics, a very prestigious Manipal Institute, but you'll have to stay in the hostel. I said, that's the reason that I've run away from there. I don't want to stay in a hostel. When here, it's in Guindy. The School of Architecture is planning there. At that time, it was called the Faculty of Architecture or something. The new school, Madras, in Guindy. Okay. But it's about quite far, about 6 or 8 kilometers away. I said, but then I have to go to... He said, yes, but you know driving and all. We will buy you a motorcycle.
Okay, great.
Wow. I said, that wins. I don't know about architecture, agriculture, and mechanics. I want a motorcycle. I love driving. I used to love driving. So then he said, what motorcycle? But that way he was very open and very gracious. He looked, he said, there is an advertisement today. Let's go and have a look. So we went.
That was your gift for joining?
For joining, not gift. That is the push, incentive push to join. Gift, what gift? When I went, that man said, this motorcycle has been, those days motorcycles were all difficult, two-wheelers. He went to his backyard. I still remember, he's a photographic institute, one of the owners. He opened, he said, that's motor. I've not used it for a long time, but it's there and I want to get. I looked at one look at that motorcycle. I said, done. It was a Triumph 4-stroke Tiger Cub.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I said, boy, this is it. And as far as my father, he says, whether you pay the capitation fees there or this year, it equals the same.
Okay.
And here you buy. That's what made me join architecture.
A motorcycle made
A motorcycle, Triumph Tiger Cub, made me join architect. That's all in the biography.
That's a fantastic story. So.
Yes. Nobody believes it's true.
So, and you joined Madras School of Planning in
Madras School of Architecture
in 1960. So, how was your experience studying in School of?
It was a fascinating thing because those days, that was the first school in the South.
Right.
There was no other school. It was the 5th school in the country, and that's the first school in the South.
Okay. Among JJ School and...
JJ was the first,
right.
Then Baroda was the second, Delhi was the third. I think somewhere else was the Calcutta, I think, was the 4th. And this was the 5th school in architecture. Then when I went there, I met some professors and things. They were very happy, not because of me, because of my motorcycle. First year, I still remember. They said, oh, this young fellow. And the first batch had come to the 3rd year and when we joined the first year.
Right.
So we were all very young. I was in the 3rd or 4th batch. I was there.
Yeah, so take us through this journey of studying architecture. And
It's a fascinating. Even now I get phone calls. Sir, will you come and inaugurate our college? Your college, your place. Even now we have our convocation going. Can you please just come? I said, me, you're sure? He said, yes, we know you thoroughly. What happened was, first year was just sketching and you know what sketching.
Yeah.
Go to Gandhi Mandap, sketch. Go to the road, sketch. I said, what a life. This is sketching, drawing, painting, something. Then few things happened one after the other.
right.
My brother said, you have joined architecture. There is a book on architecture.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to get it. So he presented me Atlas Shrugged. I kept it. A big fat book. It's still there. I left it at that point.
So this was when you joined...
Within the end of the first year.
Yeah.
Let's say at the beginning of the second year. First year was all fun and meeting seniors. Motorcycle was my journey of the first year.
Okay.
That passed me to the second year. So when I saw this, at the same time, two things happened. A little later, he gave me the Fountainhead. He said, this is the real book I want you to read.
So you finished the Atlas Shrugged?
Atlas, I didn't read the Atlas Shrugged. I said, this is Atlas is Shrugged.
Okay.
So I kept it aside a little bit here. But I got the Fountain. He said, read it. So I read it. I started. At the same time, something else happened in second and third year. What happened was there was a phenomenal teacher in architecture called Sheila Tribe.
Okay.
She was an architect from the British Council. From this book had influenced me to do designs in a slightly different way. While reading Howard's journey and the various people who wrote Journey in the Thing, and the other great person who is Rourke's hero.
Howard Rourke's mentor, right?
Mentor.
Yeah.
Mentor. It's there somewhere. What happened was, this time, when I met her, there is something happened in the design class.
Okay.
One of the designs, she was very strict. You have to be on time, you must submit on time. We were submitting our projects. When I was submitting the project, every student had made the designs and things and kept.
Okay.
This is also the time of the Ganesh Chaturthi. I didn't know how to express what I wanted to express. I had taken the Ganesha from my mother and my neighbors, I think, too, and squashed them up nicely and made it into a model.
Okay.
I was scared. So I had put it in my brother's car, taken it to the college, and very quietly hidden it in. We had huge desks under the desk. So she went on one after each student, second and third year. I remember one after the student, she went around. She was also noticed that I was avoiding all of them perspectives, drawings, designs. Then all these people, some of them, they were giggling. Then one of them, Madam, ask him. She said, Jaisim, where are you? Where's yours? Madam, I don't have a design. How dare you come into my office? I mean, to the class. No, here somebody said, Scott. Listen, what have you got? Before I could, they opened the drawer and pulled out the model and put it on top. She said, looked at me. Did you make it? I said, yes, ma'am. Walk me around the model. She never said anything. Meet me after class. Come to my chambers. I said, finished, good. All of them were same chambers. So the interval, the class design class over. And the peon came and said, Madam is waiting for you. I go up. Oh. Sit down again. I said, sit down, she doesn't even let people stand in front of her. I said, did you really make the model? Yes, ma'am, I have nothing to do. I didn't know how to express in a drawing. Precisely. Sit. Now, don't give up what you're doing. If you have the guts, continue to do it. One day, you'll be there.
Wow.
But not many people will appreciate it. It's up to you. That changed my entire next step of career. The Fountainhead, reading partially, reading fully. Then I read because of inspiration. At this time, around, another thing happened. Okay. I used to write, even now I write and all this. Okay. So for the fun of it, we were some gang fellows right from school. We ran a school paper called the Student Times and Student One More Thing.
Okay. Back then,
in my third year itself.
Okay.
So this would give me an opening to every college, girls' college, women's college, everything. I like you walk in, I could walk in and journalist. I mean, also journalist, student journalist. Okay. So that opened me up to some of the top people in the country, like the chief ministers, chief secretaries. I could simply say, I'm reporting paper, no security. I met Kamaraj Nada personally, Rajaji personally. Oh, wow. People don't even believe whom all I have met personally. This opened up, continuing the story, to two more things. I may not be continuing it in my thought process, but I'll tell you, it doesn't really matter later.
Yeah, sure.
Or shall I tell that right away?
No, go ahead with the other story.
Now, what happened at this time? My sister was in the tourism department. My motorcycle would go for these professors and things and come back, and then I would go. She called me one day and said, Jaisim, there is some architect or somebody. I don't know what to do. His flight is getting delayed. We don't know how long. Can you please go to the airport, keep him company? I'm unable to do it. She was very nice that. So I took my motorcycle, got permission. Right. He was in a VIP chamber sitting there. Oh, you were the young student of architecture. I said, yes, sir. Oh, you came to keep me company. Flight is delayed. Then, yes, sir. Okay, since you're there, single thing. He went on talking to me about various things. Soon it was about tetrahedra, the geodesic dome. The thing, not 1 minute or moment did I know I had the exclusive opportunity of fortune of talking to Buckminster Fuller.
Wow.
I still remember after he taught me, I never forgot. Even my structures today are Buckminster Fuller's geodesic dome. My largest pen, which I've done today, is Buckminster Fuller's. He simply said, just turn. The moment I did, we won the first award, national award was the tetrahedra, before even Raj Raval did it.
Okay.
That's why when I met him the other day, I just smiled and said, he's getting the Asian Game Village. I said, yes, sir. How to tell him? My thing by the side had got broken off. We call it the cube instead of call it the bube. I'm sorry, we call it the bube instead of the cube.
Okay.
That I did afterwards. But I'm continuing on this. I went back to college.
So you had like 1 hour exclusive?
Almost 1 hour, full expression. He said, keep in touch with me. That's how the books came, the linings came and all. When I went back to college, the professor, he said, where did you go? I said, I met some... At that time, I didn't know so much who really he was.
Okay.
So, where did you go? I said, I met some Fuller Giller. He taught me. So, what do you mean? Then one of the seniors, you really mean you met Bucky? Even now, when I tell people here when in the national conferences that I had a 1-ton, nobody believes. Still, I show them the sketch. He said, boy, you should take. I said, no selfies those days.
Oh, yeah. Too bad.
That thing, it was fantastic. That was one thing. That pushed me. Very few months later, or maybe the next opportunity, again, she called me and said that man was very happy that he kept him company. There is another person again stuck at the airport. Again, some delay in those days, flights were all. Can you please go and do the same thing for me, please? She requested.
I wonder who this is.
I went. Very simple man. Oh, you so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay, you're now in this year studying. He went on talking to me about climate and tropical studies, why he came, what it was. He said how you should design in a place like Madras or in Bangalore and thing. And before he left, after we discussed, he said, ever you decide to do your studies, keep in touch with us. We will give you the opening in London.
Oh, wow.
He was Otto Koenigsberg.
Oh, wow. Great.
The father of tropical studies, the School of Tropical, and plus the designer of the Mysore, Bangalore, Orissa. That gave me, he would then correspond, I would correspond. I got the entire data of tropical studies, how to do it. And I did the thesis with him on the thing right in my third year.
With Otto?
With Otto. Okay. He would send me back and said, anytime you finish college, the seat is yours.
So this was through India Post, is it?
Through India, in those days, India Post. This I'll tell you another person who influenced me the life. Same time.
So there was a lot of writing.
A lot of writing. It would take months to go, another month to come, pictures will come forth. Some things are still there, the notes, which at that point happened was when the thesis submission time in fourth year came. The head of the department, Mr. Patwardyan, called, Jaisim, where is your thesis? Sir, I've already done it.
Okay.
But you've got one more year to go. How can you do it? I said, I've written, and if I finish it, who is anybody out of India to say what thesis you can? I said, sir, done it in detail, done the design, done the studies, and that has been approved in London. I don't care. But to add more to that, one of my seniors took my entire writings, whatever I did, went to London, wrote a book, got a gold medal on the Jaisim. And actually, he said, I didn't do anything. I just presented your book. Whatever you wrote, I just rewrote cleanly and gave it to them. They said they've never seen such a presentation. How to tell them it's Koenigsberg's presentation. This, at the same time, another thing happened. This is what changed my thought process. I had a phenomenal history teacher called K. Iyengar. He would teach only history, and he loved symmetry.
This was when you went PU?
School, yeah, okay. School. Third year, second year, third year. All this was in the first 3 years. Paper, running, all this, plus playing cricket for the college. I wish I'd continued to play cricket. I would have been a billionaire.
You're a batsman, is it?
Anything. All around. Anything you want. Wicket keeping done.
Okay.
Get out of class and play cricket. That was the only thing.
Yes.
That really kept me going. I wish all of them are test cricketers now. I'm a retired test cricketer. This what happened. This third person. K. Iyengar used to teach history. I didn't like history very much. But believe it or not, his only notes I still preserve. He said, what, you don't seem to, come home one day. He was a beautiful musician. He started music, sing. I thought he was going to scold me or something. So, talk to me. Listen, music is architecture. So many things are architecture. So, but where do you get the inspiration from? I asked him. He had come back from abroad.
Right.
Beautiful handwriting. He said, of all the people, there's one person in modern contemporary architecture whom you should admire, who follows the history step by step and then re-explains it and redefines in his greatest of buildings in modern terms, contextual modern terms to the future. I said, who is this, sir? Why do you want? And he said, no, sir, what in? He said, that is Mies van der Rohe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I should have kept quiet at that. I went straight to the US Embassy because I used to love the embassy fellows. They used to love me, ask me for some reason or the other. I'd walk. Those days you could walk into them. I said, who is this Mies van der Rohe? I liked the consul and the librarian that took me back. This is the address of the architect. He is today the world's top architect. He had just finished the great building in Chicago, which won the super recognition and awards. Seagram buildings.
Yeah.
And the beautiful, what is that building in Spain? I went all the way, paid through my nose to see that building. I came back, got the address, simply wrote a mail. I admire your works. 4 lines in my hand, great difficulty, wrote it. Believe it or not, a month later, my mother calls me up and says, there is some post from the US for you. I said, who's this now? She said, not only this, there's another post also there is, but this post is there. It's been lying around. Go there. One cover. In the book, there was a book inside. His biography of books. I think it's still somewhere in the thing. I keep it. In that, it very clear says architect Mies van Rooth. He's very happy, thrilled. I'm not even happy, very happy to you that you appreciate his works. This is a gift he's asked me to send. I didn't keep quiet at that. I wrote back a small mail, thank you very much, ma'am, but you have deprived me of his autograph.
Okay.
Believe it or not, 1 month from then comes a beautiful and rectangular envelope. Mies van der Rohe, inside one sheet. Mies van der Rohe autograph.
You still have it?
It's still there somewhere.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, these are great people. Why should some third world, one student in third year sitting somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely.
They are great architects. Whereas you talk to some of our great fellows, they won't even talk to you.
Yeah.
This is what made me talk to students all the time. If that man can find the time from his billion dollar industries and then go ahead and do it, they are great people.
Right.
This is the first stories of what happened.
And also a time when the communication was not
zero.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when whatever little money I had, I used to go and start writing to Ayn Rand and Nathaniel Branden. Okay. So I literally bought everything she ever wrote.
Okay.
Whatever money I had saved from my breakfast and lunch and dinner all went. Some were converted into dollars, send it there, and the books would come. Okay. She sent, because she said, no, I cannot give anything free. I know you appreciate it. I mean, for such an office to send it, but you must have value for it. That's why I learned the value process. And it started coming. I still, whenever they write to me still, they think I'm still part of the thing, the objectivist, and the books, green books. When I give it to people here, sometimes they read and give it to me. It's a phenomenon. These were the first 4 years. The paper, playing, writing, designing, not differently because of being different. I realized that architecture can make the difference in life. So this was the difference,
right,
without being different, that we made steel in those days. That was up to 4 years.
So you graduated in 66?
No, before the graduation, I must put something else, because since you opened my mind to something else.
Right.
Another thing happened. I also learned that every semester holiday and in between each semester, whatever you had, don't stay. Learn something, like driving a bus. Okay. Go to a quarry, work in a quarry, work in a tile factory, work in a fabric. Don't work under an architect.
So you never work under an architect? Except
when it was compulsory, because you had to have the 6. Yeah. Even there, I used to run away from him to site. I used to come to Bangalore to work with T.S. Narayan Rao. How did this boy come inside? Okay. Anyway, I used to go to T.S. Narayan Rao's office, and many of these people, now they still remember, the children still remember, sir, you used to come here.
Okay. Right?
It was used in MG Road. That was one process. That got me into knowing architecture, because anybody asks, how does the bus park? I don't even hesitate. I said, I can park and show you how the bus parks. Because this helped me later when I was practicing, when the bus was stopped on the road by the driver or the driver was missing. I would go sit in the bus and drive the bus with the children. Wow. They said, no. I said, who wants a license? I'll drop them back. I used to do it quite a few times. This was the process. Okay, then what happened? Now, shift to the final here. Yeah. That principal was still a little mad with him because he was one of the top architects in Chennai. Right. He thought, I loved him, but he wanted me to follow him. That was the period that you want now. I'll take to the thesis period. That's the last year. So that was the 5th year. He said, now you have come to the 5th year. Where is your thesis? Okay. I said, sir, I've also finished all the thesis. Then he gave me, he said, but you need a guide. I said, who is my guide? He showed me one professor. I said, he was 1 year senior to me. How can he be my guide? Okay. What do you mean? How can you teach me? I can't teach him. He also said, what can I teach? He runs around. He's now head of a very top school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm
sure you have a great laugh listening.
No. I have a laugh with them. But the other people laughed. I said, all of them were waiting for me when I moved in. Oh, here comes a notorious self. Because I would also publish all this in that newspaper.
Okay.
That
the Student Council.
Student Express and Student Times, I think. Both papers, one by one. That gave me a lot of... What happened at this point? I went for the thesis thing. What I had done was copied one of his buildings and said how bad it was. Literally how it could be redesigned. No, I didn't say how bad, how it could be redesigned to higher level. Case study was mod. He said, where did you get all that? Who gave you permission? I said, sir, I got permission through my brother and all. Went to English Electric. This is the way the factory should have been designed, not like this. He said, what do you mean? I said, I've also bought the books on buildings and industry. He appreciated. But then he's got arrogance. Fail him. I said, you don't have to fail me. I'm not coming for the exam itself. Then again next year.
So you had to repeat a year?
Not just a year. So next year, I took another building of his.
Okay, again.
For the dairy milk. Again, he had done it. So I went, did that, submitted again. He said, you didn't learn from last time. Because what happened, he said, because after we finish in those days, you have to join a college. You have to join an internship and office.
Yeah.
He said, you come and join my office. So I caught a friend of mine and said, why should I join his office? So I went and joined his competitor's office. Okay. He was very angry. Chittale told me, and Sri Krishna Chittale was the top man there.
Yeah.
He was there. He literally told me, Jaisim, you will never pass if you work in my office. Sir, I just want a place to sit in your office. Can you give... Okay, since my friend has recommended you, make a sit. But that's another story by itself, beautiful story. That's why I said architecture is a big journey, phenomenal journey. So what happened? Again, I took one of his milk dairy projects. Redid the whole thing. But can't you learn? I told you not to. Where did he said, okay, I got permission. Wouldn't let me go. At that point, there was one jury by 3 senior architects, right? That's another fun remind me to tell you this. Both the times he also came. He was from the chief architect from Bangalore. So Karnataka state. Done. Wouldn't go. Then I didn't bother. I told Chitra. He said, what happened? No, sir. He said, okay, you worked. You are my junior architect, you work. What happened at the time, why it also happened at the time, he wouldn't let go. The Polytechnic School of Architecture, they only teach teachers of diploma in architecture. Some Chittale's friend, one foreign Englishman, said, I want some assistance from an young architect to take this class. Then Chittale said, he has no time. Can you please go and go to him? It was in Guindy somewhere. So I took all his slides and then would go. First day I remember still, he said, you come at about 8 o'clock, we start the Polytechnic. You take the class up to 9 o'clock. I will show the slides. He said, you just show the slides. Okay. Put 100 slides on. And don't talk anything, explain to him and come out. Trying to remember that Englishman's name. I started little explaining. Then that man said, Jaisim, can you explain the projects? So I started explaining.
So this is how you got into teaching?
It is, you can see. Do you know what happened? 8 became 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I went and he kept on. He wants some tea, he wants some lunch. I forgot. Up to 5 o'clock in the evening to all these students who are double my age, listening to me whole day. I go back to the office and I thought I told you to come at 10 o'clock. Why you had said only now it finished? What did you do? I said, your slides I was explaining. My slides you were explaining. But he liked me and he put me in that. So I took that part. That class continued for 4 years. That they made me come compulsorily to take class. Only thing he said, you take those classes, but before office hours.
Okay.
So 8 to 10, 8 to 9:30, 1.5 hours. It went on for 3 years.
And post that you would go to work for the Chitra.
I would go there and then, but this man, my earlier, the HOD, Pithavarian, he didn't know I was doing this. That story happened later.
But when did you pass?
That's what. Next time what I did, my juniors all came to my house. They were all like, sir, you're up here again, third time. I said, I'm not interested. I have a job. I repair. He likes me. No, sir. What do you want to do? I said, I don't want to do anything. Then they said, sir, we'll go to the library. I said, okay, what is your thesis project? I said, tic-tac-toe, put it up there, take that book from there. I like this, my name is, he pulled out books. Now, which project in this book? He said, open one, fat like it. This is the project. It's a school. Okay, fine. So he won't confuse this. Jaisim, you tell us how to. I said, that's the plan, that's the section, that's the thing. Now I'll modify it, you modify it, put it together. Why can't the school stand in one column and put it together? It's dissonant. Fun of it, put it together. Neatly drawn, put it together. School, I think it's a school from higher studies or something. Went. Neatly drawn titles get all put together. How to tell him not one drawing was done by me? You have learned. Okay, pass you this time.
So finally. So guys, that was part 1 of this 2-part series. Hope you guys liked this episode. On the next episode, Jaisim sir shares more about his projects, great tips for young architects, and what he thinks about the future of architecture. Also guys, check out Jaisim sir's autobiography called I Do by heading to archgyan.com/Jaisim. It's a great read and I highly recommend it to all young architects. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Please do like and subscribe on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this podcast from. And please do leave us feedback by mailing us to manish@archgyan.com. This is your host Manish Paul signing off. Ciao, ciao.